poor cleaning lady answered a call in Arabic in front of a millionaire the next day. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into today's story. The bright lights of the luxurious hotel lobby cast long shadows on the polished marble floors. The sound of soft conversations blended with the clink of fine glassware, setting a tone of elegance and exclusivity. Amidst all this grandeur, a young cleaning lady, Lena, hurriedly made her way through the crowd, pushing her cart filled with cleaning supplies. She wore a faded blue uniform, her shoes worn from the long hours of work. Her hands were rough from cleaning countless rooms, but her eyes were soft and full of dreams. Lena's job was never glamorous, but it paid the bills. It kept the lights on and her family fed. As she reached the far corner of the lobby, her phone vibrated in her pocket. The ringtone was a simple tune, a stark contrast to the luxurious surroundings. She paused, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. It was a call from her brother in Saudi Arabia. With a quick glance toward the front desk, she answered, speaking in fluent Arabic, her voice soft yet steady. "Hello, how are you? How's mom doing?" she said, her words flowing effortlessly in her native tongue. The moment the words left her mouth, she noticed a man sitting nearby, his attention shifting toward her. He was well dressed in a tailored suit, his posture relaxed yet commanding. He sat alone, his expensive leather shoes gleaming under the light, his eyes hidden behind a pair of stylish sunglasses. To Lena, he seemed like just another businessman passing through. She smiled politely at him, her face slightly flushed from the unexpected interruption of her call. The man, however, remained still, his gaze fixed on her as she spoke in Arabic. His curiosity piqued, but he said nothing. When Lena finished her conversation, she quickly hung up and resumed her duties, pushing her cart through the lobby with a slight sense of embarrassment. She didn't want to draw attention to herself, not in this world where she didn't quite belong. She kept her head down, focusing on the task at hand. Meanwhile, the man's eyes followed her for a moment longer than necessary. His mind raced as he tried to make sense of what he had just heard. Arabic, of all languages. He had overheard enough to understand that she was speaking to family, her voice warm with affection. But what struck him was the sharp contrast between the woman who had been cleaning the floor just moments ago and the world of wealth and power surrounding her. He had lived a life of privilege, built on a foundation of high-profile business deals and luxury. But as he sat there, he couldn't shake the thought of Lena and the life she was leading. Was there more to her than met the eye? The next day, the man, whose name was Marcus Carter, found himself at the hotel again. He was attending a high-profile event, and the hotel was the perfect venue. As he walked through the lobby, his eyes instinctively searched for Lena. There she was, just as he had expected, quietly working, cleaning up after the guests, keeping to herself. But today, something was different. She noticed him too. She had seen him before, of course, but today, there was a brief moment of recognition in her eyes. Lena continued her work, but her thoughts began to wander. Who was this man? Why had he been watching her the day before? What did he want from her? Little did she know, her life was about to change forever, and it all began with one simple, unexpected encounter. But what could a man like him possibly want with someone like her? The question lingered in her mind as she cleaned, unaware that the next chapter of her life was about to unfold in ways she could never have imagined. The following day, Lena arrived early for her shift, her mind still occupied with the encounter from yesterday. The gleaming marble floors and expensive chandeliers of the hotel had once again set the stage for her to do the work that she had always done. But today, her thoughts were different. The memory of the man in the suit lingered in her mind. He hadn't said a word to her, but his gaze had been impossible to ignore. She had seen him, and he had seen her, but the question that gnawed at her was why. What had he been thinking? Why had he been so interested in her? She was just another cleaning lady, a small part of the machine that made the hotel run smoothly, nothing more. As she pushed her cart down the hallway, she tried to shake the thought from her mind. There was no reason to think about him. She had her responsibilities, and that was enough. But the thought stuck with her. Little did Lena know, the man, Marcus Carter, had been thinking about her all night. He hadn't been able to forget the sound of her voice, the way she had spoken in Arabic to her family, and how different she seemed from the world around her. He had seen thousands of people come and go in his life, but something about Lena caught his attention. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't trying to impress anyone, and yet, there was something in her that he couldn't quite place. Something that made him want to know more. So the next day, as he arrived at the hotel for another meeting, he couldn't help himself. He found himself looking for her again. This time, he didn't just pass through the lobby. He waited. He sat at a table near the corner, his mind racing as he pretended to focus on his phone. He wanted to talk to her, to understand who she was, but he didn't want to come across as too forward. He wanted to observe, to learn more about her without disturbing her. It was then that he noticed her again, walking briskly through the lobby, her cart filled with cleaning supplies. She seemed to have no idea he was there, lost in her work, as she always was. But this time, there was something different. As their eyes met for a brief second, Marcus saw it, a flicker of recognition, of something more. She paused, almost imperceptibly, before she turned away to continue her work. That was when he knew. She had noticed him. The barrier between them had shifted ever so slightly. Later that afternoon, Marcus could not shake the thought of Lena. He felt a strange pull, a curiosity that he hadn't experienced in years. He had built his empire on business and power, but what had he ever done for someone else? For the first time, he realized that his wealth meant nothing without the connection he was craving. So, he made a decision. He would find her, not just for the sake of curiosity, but because something deep inside told him that there was more to her than he could ever imagine. After work, Lena was walking out of the hotel, heading to the bus stop, when she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned around, surprised to see Marcus standing there, a warm but serious look in his eyes. "Lena," he said, his voice calm but insistent. "I need to talk to you. Would you join me for coffee?" She hesitated. What could he possibly want from her? She was just a cleaning lady, after all. But the way he was looking at her made her wonder if there was more to this than she realized. With a cautious nod, she agreed. They walked to a small cafe just down the street, a quiet place where no one would recognize them. The conversation started slowly. At first, they spoke of mundane things, the weather, the cafe, even her family back home. But soon, the topic shifted, and Marcus looked at her with an intensity that made her heart race. "Lena," he said, "I've been thinking about you. About your life, and how you carry yourself. I want to offer you something. A chance to change everything." Her heart skipped a beat. What was he talking about? She didn't know what to say, her mind racing. Did he want to give her money? A job? Something else entirely? She had no idea, but one thing was for sure. Her life, which had always seemed so small and insignificant, was suddenly on the verge of something much bigger. Marcus' words hung in the air like a delicate thread, pulling Lena's attention in ways she never expected. A chance to change everything. Those words repeated in her mind as she took another sip of coffee, feeling both excitement and confusion brewing inside her. The cafe was quiet, the soft clinking of cups and hushed voices barely registering as she focused on Marcus. He looked at her, his dark eyes steady, waiting for her response. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to steady her voice. "I want to offer you a chance," Marcus said, his voice low but sincere. "A chance to leave this life behind, to do something more. You've shown me more than anyone else I know about strength and dignity. You deserve more than this." He paused, as though searching for the right words. "I can help you." Lena's heart raced. She wasn't sure if she should feel grateful, suspicious, or overwhelmed. "Help me how?" she asked, trying to keep her emotions in check. "I have connections, opportunities," he said. "I can get you a job with my foundation, where you can use your talents. I've been watching you, Lena. I know you're more than just a cleaning lady." The words stung a little. She had always been proud of her work, but Marcus' words made her feel small, like she was just a project for him. "I don't need your charity," she said, her voice cold despite the turmoil inside. Marcus' face softened, and he reached out, his hand resting gently on hers. "It's not charity," he said. "It's an opportunity. I want to help you find something better. I believe in you." Lena pulled her hand back, her mind racing. She had always dreamed of something more, of not being tied to a life of hard labor. But this was unexpected, and it was hard to trust someone like Marcus, someone with so much power and privilege. Why me? She asked, finally voicing the question that had been haunting her. Why do you care? Marcus leaned back in his chair, looking thoughtful. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe because I see something in you. You're not like the others I've met. You're real. You don't hide behind wealth or status. You're genuine, and that's rare. I respect that. Lena didn't know what to say to that. She had never thought of herself as special. She was just a woman trying to survive, to take care of her family. But hearing Marcus speak about her with such admiration made her question everything. Could she really change her life? Was this the opportunity she had been waiting for? Or was it another illusion, a chance to be used and discarded once she no longer fit the mold? The silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken words. I'm not asking you to make a decision now, Marcus said, breaking the silence. Think about it. All I'm offering is a chance for something more. You don't have to say yes right away. Take your time. Lena sat back in her chair, her mind spinning. She had been stuck in the same routine for so long, doing what she had to do to survive. But here, in this moment, there was a glimpse of something else. Something that could change everything. She didn't know what it would mean for her future, but for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to imagine a different life. One where she was more than just a cleaning lady. One where she could have a purpose, something bigger than surviving from day to day. She didn't know what the answer would be yet, but the seed of possibility had been planted, and it was growing, whether she was ready for it or not. The following week, Lena still hadn't made up her mind. She couldn't stop thinking about the offer Marcus had made, and the more she thought about it, the more conflicted she became. She had grown up with nothing but hard work, learning to survive on her own. The idea of stepping into a world of wealth and privilege felt like a dream, one that could either lift her up or swallow her whole. She had always believed that hard work was the key to a better life, but now Marcus was offering her something else, a shortcut, a way out of the life she had known. She stood in front of the small mirror in her apartment, looking at her reflection. Her uniform was faded, her hair tied back in a messy ponytail, and the tired lines on her face spoke of years of struggle. She didn't recognize the woman staring back at her. It wasn't the woman she saw in the mirror every day. This was someone new. Someone who was standing at the edge of a choice that could change everything. The thought of leaving her job, her familiar routine, and the people who depended on her made her stomach twist. But the other side of the coin was equally terrifying. The thought of staying stuck in a life that offered no hope, no possibility of change. She had always told herself that she was fine with her life, but now, with Marcus' offer on the table, she wondered if she was settling for less than she deserved. She remembered his words, how he had said he believed in her, how he had seen something in her that no one else had. That belief was like a spark inside her, and for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe it too. But fear was still there, gnawing at her. She wasn't sure if she could trust him, or if she was just another project for him, another charity case he wanted to fix. As she walked into the hotel lobby that day, Lena tried to push the thoughts out of her mind. She focused on her work, trying to keep her head down and not think about the world beyond the walls of the hotel. But when she passed the front desk, she noticed Marcus again. He was standing there, talking to the manager, looking just as composed and confident as ever. He glanced up and saw her, and for a brief moment, their eyes met. It was as if the world stopped for a second, and in that moment, Lena knew. She knew that she couldn't keep pretending. She couldn't keep hiding from the possibility of something more. After finishing her shift, she found herself walking toward the cafe again. She didn't plan it. It just happened. Marcus was already there, waiting for her, his expression calm but expectant. "Lena," he said, his voice steady, "I'm glad you came." She sat down, trying to keep her nerves in check. "I've been thinking," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "About what you said." Marcus nodded, leaning forward slightly. "And?" She took a deep breath, her hands shaking as she placed them on the table. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," she admitted. "But I don't want to let fear hold me back either. I've always been afraid to take a chance, to dream bigger than what I've known." Marcus smiled softly, a look of understanding crossing his face. "I'm not asking you to make a huge leap overnight," he said. "I'm offering you a chance to take it one step at a time. There's no rush. But I promise you, there's more for you out there, more than you've ever imagined." Lena felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she listened to him. For the first time, she realized that taking a chance didn't mean she had to leave everything behind at once. It could be a small step, a choice to try something new. And with that thought, she made her decision. She wasn't ready to change everything all at once, but she was ready to take the first step. She looked at Marcus, her heart pounding. "Okay," she said, her voice steady. "I'll give it a shot." In the following weeks, Lena started her new role at Marcus Foundation. The transition was far from easy. Every morning, she would step into a world that felt foreign to her: luxurious offices, polished floors, and a team of people who seemed to have it all figured out. Despite the discomfort, there was also a sense of hope that came with it. For the first time in her life, Lena felt like she wasn't just living to survive, but had a chance to thrive. At first, she worked behind the scenes, organizing events and managing communications for the foundation. But every day, Marcus made a point to check in with her, offering guidance and encouragement. He was patient with her, even when she doubted herself. She had always been afraid of making mistakes, but Marcus' calm reassurance gave her the courage to try. Slowly, Lena began to find her footing. She attended meetings, contributed ideas, and began to realize that she had more to offer than she had ever thought possible. The work was challenging, but fulfilling, and every day brought new lessons. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult meeting with potential donors, Marcus found Lena sitting alone in the break room, her head in her hands. He walked over, concern written on his face. "Lena, are you okay?" he asked gently. She looked up, wiping away a tear. "I don't know," she admitted. "I feel like I'm out of my league here. These people, they know everything, and I'm just me." Marcus sat down beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I know it's hard, but you've come so far in such a short time. I wouldn't have hired you if I didn't believe in your potential. You belong here just as much as anyone else." Lena took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of thoughts in her mind. "But I'm not like them. I don't have their education, their connections." "You have something they don't," Marcus said, his voice steady. "You have heart. You have a genuine desire to make a difference. That's worth more than any degree or fancy title. Don't sell yourself short, Lena. You're doing great." The words stayed with her long after Marcus left the room. She spent the rest of the day reflecting on them, and slowly, her confidence began to grow. As the weeks passed, Lena found herself becoming more involved in the foundation's work. She was no longer just an assistant. She was a valued member of the team. She took the lead on a new project to help underprivileged communities, and the results were impressive. People were starting to take notice of her ideas, her leadership, and her passion. And it wasn't just the work that was changing. Lena began to feel a shift within herself. She wasn't the same woman who had walked into the hotel lobby months ago, uncertain and unsure of her worth. She had found her voice, and with it, a sense of purpose. One evening, after a particularly successful event, Marcus invited her to dinner to celebrate. As they sat at a small table in a quiet restaurant, he looked at her with a proud smile. "I'm impressed, Lena. You've come a long way." Lena smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. "I never thought I could do this," she said softly. "But now, I can't imagine going back." Marcus leaned back in his chair, his eyes thoughtful. "And you won't," he said. "You've earned your place here, and you're not just part of the team anymore. You're part of something bigger, something that can change lives." Lena felt a surge of emotion. She had always dreamed of making a difference, of doing something meaningful with her life. And now, thanks to Marcus and the foundation, she was finally doing it. As they clinked glasses to celebrate, Lena realized that her life had changed in ways she never could have imagined. She had taken the chance, stepped into the unknown, and found herself in a place where she could grow, where her dreams could become reality. And with Marcus by her side, she knew that the journey was just beginning. Lena's journey had been nothing short of transformative. The once timid woman, unsure of her worth, had now become a confident and respected member of Marcus Foundation. But with success came new challenges. As Lena took on more responsibility, she felt the weight of her decisions grow heavier. One afternoon, while preparing for an upcoming charity gala, Marcus invited her to his office. He looked serious, his usual easy smile replaced with a contemplative expression. "Lena, I need to talk to you about something important," he said, his voice low. She felt her stomach tighten. "What's going on?" "The gala is approaching, and we're facing some pressure," Marcus continued. "We have a large donor coming, someone who could take the foundation to the next level. But there's a complication. They're only interested in supporting the foundation if we partner with one of their businesses. It's not ideal, but it's a big opportunity. Lena nodded, trying to process the information. So what's the problem? The business they want to partner with isn't exactly in line with our values, Marcus said, running a hand through his hair. I'm torn. I don't want to compromise what we stand for, but at the same time, I don't want to risk losing this funding. Lena's heart raced. She understood the weight of what was at stake. This could be the foundation's big break, but at what cost? What do you think we should do? Marcus asked, his gaze searching hers. Lena paused for a moment, gathering her thoughts. She had always been guided by her instincts, and in this moment, she knew exactly what she had to say. We can't compromise our values just for the money. The whole point of what we're doing is to help people. If we accept a partnership that goes against what we stand for, then what's the point of it all? Marcus studied her, his expression thoughtful. You're right, he said after a long pause. But I don't know if we can afford to turn down this opportunity. Maybe we don't have to, Lena replied, a spark of an idea forming in her mind. What if we find a way to work with them, but on our terms? We could negotiate a deal that benefits both sides without compromising our mission. Marcus' eyes lit up, impressed by her suggestion. That's a brilliant idea. I'll start reaching out to see what we can do. Over the next few days, Lena worked tirelessly alongside Marcus to figure out a solution. They met with the donors, carefully negotiating terms that would allow them to maintain their integrity while securing the funding they needed. It wasn't easy, and there were many moments of doubt, but in the end, they managed to reach a deal that worked for everyone. When the gala finally arrived, Lena felt a sense of pride she hadn't known before. The event was a success, and the foundation was able to secure the funding they needed without compromising their values. As she stood at the back of the room, watching the guests mingle and celebrate, Marcus approached her with a smile. You did it, Lena, he said, his voice full of admiration. We did it, she corrected him, her heart swelling with a sense of accomplishment. I couldn't have done it without you. Marcus looked at her, his expression softening. I'm proud of you, Lena. You've shown me what true leadership is. You're not just part of the team anymore. You're the heart of it. For the first time, Lena truly believed it. She had come so far, and she knew this was just the beginning. With Marcus by her side and the foundation growing stronger, she realized that anything was possible. The future was uncertain, but she was no longer afraid. She had found her place, not just in the foundation, but in a world where she could make a real difference. And as she looked around at the people she had helped, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. Lena had come a long way in the past few months. From the uncertain woman who had once scrubbed floors and felt invisible, she had transformed into a confident, capable leader at Marcus Foundation. But just as things were starting to fall into place, doubt began to creep in. It started with a phone call. Marcus had been away on business, and Lena was left to manage a new initiative the foundation had launched. The project, aimed at providing scholarships for underprivileged students, had gained significant attention. However, the pressure was mounting, and Lena could feel it. One afternoon, as she was finalizing a report for the board, she received a call from one of the scholarship recipients' families. The woman on the other end of the line was upset. My daughter didn't get the scholarship, but she was promised it, the woman said, her voice trembling with frustration. She worked so hard for it, and now it feels like the foundation has abandoned her. Lena felt a knot form in her stomach. She had no idea why the scholarship wasn't awarded to the student. The foundation had been selective, but they had always aimed to help as many deserving students as possible. Still, the weight of the complaint felt like a blow. She spent the rest of the afternoon trying to find answers, but the more she dug, the more she uncovered unsettling discrepancies in the scholarship process. There were rumors of favoritism and questionable decisions made by the team handling the selections. When Marcus returned from his trip, Lena was waiting for him in his office, the documents spread out in front of her. She took a deep breath, ready to address what had been bothering her. Marcus, I need to talk to you about something, she began. He raised an eyebrow, sensing the seriousness in her tone. What's going on? I've been looking into the scholarship program, she said, her voice steady but firm. There are some issues. Some students were unfairly overlooked, and others were given preference for reasons that don't align with the foundation's values. Marcus' expression shifted. He stood up, walking over to her with a look of concern. Are you sure about this? I've checked everything, Lena replied. I'm not saying it was intentional, but there are problems we need to address. We can't let this slip under the rug. Marcus sat down beside her, looking at the paperwork. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly troubled. I never wanted the foundation to be associated with favoritism. This isn't what we stand for. Lena nodded. I know, and that's why we need to act quickly. If we don't, we risk losing the trust of the people we're trying to help. There was a long silence before Marcus spoke again, his voice quiet but resolute. You're right. We need to fix this. It's not just about the scholarships. It's about the integrity of the entire foundation. Over the next few days, Lena worked tirelessly with Marcus to rectify the situation. They held meetings with the scholarship committee, reviewed all the selections, and ensured that every decision was made transparently. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of tension, but in the end, they managed to correct the mistakes and restore the fairness of the program. When Lena looked at Marcus after everything had been resolved, she saw a different side of him. He wasn't just a businessman. He was a man who genuinely cared about doing the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. You did it, Marcus said, his voice filled with pride. We did it, Lena corrected him, her heart swelling with gratitude. You trusted me. That made all the difference. In that moment, Lena realized how far she had come. She had faced a challenge that threatened the integrity of everything they had worked for, but she had stood firm, ready to confront it head-on. And through it all, she had learned something crucial. True leadership wasn't just about making the right decisions when things were easy. It was about doing what was right, no matter how difficult the path. With that lesson in mind, Lena knew she was more than ready for whatever challenges the future might bring. Lena sat in the quiet of her office, the soft hum of the city outside the window nothing but a distant echo to the thoughts swirling in her mind. The foundation was growing, and so was her role within it. Yet, as the success of their programs flourished, something began to change. A subtle shift that she couldn't quite put her finger on, but it was there, and it had everything to do with Marcus. Over the past few months, their professional relationship had deepened. They had become more than just colleagues, more than just partners in the foundation. There were moments, small, fleeting moments, when Lena felt something more, something that made her heart beat a little faster. It wasn't the grand gestures or the praise, though there had been plenty of both. It was the quiet moments, the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention, the way he cared for the people around him, not just as a businessman, but as a human being. She had seen the sincerity in his eyes when he talked about their work, the way he always believed in her when she doubted herself. But she also knew the reality of their situation. They were from two completely different worlds. He was the millionaire CEO, a man who had built an empire from the ground up. She was the woman who had come from nothing, working her way up through sheer determination. Could someone like her really belong in his world? Could this partnership, this undeniable connection between them, ever be more than just a professional one? The questions plagued her late at night as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. But as much as she tried to ignore it, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed between them. The gala that had brought them so much success was just around the corner. The whole foundation was preparing for the event that would showcase their achievements, their work, and the people they had helped. It was going to be the crowning moment of everything they had built together. As the day of the gala approached, Lena found herself more nervous than usual. She had been working nonstop, organizing details, ensuring everything was in place. But no matter how busy she kept herself, she couldn't stop thinking about Marcus. She could feel the weight of the unspoken tension between them, and it made her uneasy. On the night of the gala, the hotel ballroom was decorated to perfection. The lights were dimmed, casting a soft glow over the elegantly dressed guests. Music floated through the air, and laughter filled the room. But all Lena could think about was the man standing across the room. Marcus was in his element, effortlessly mingling with the guests, his charisma shining through. He looked every bit the part of the successful CEO, exuding confidence and charm. But as he caught her eye across the crowded room, something shifted. The moment their gazes met, it was as if time slowed. For just a second, it was only the two of them in the room. The smile that tugged at the corners of Marcus' lips made her heart flutter, and in that moment, all of her doubts melted away. She was about to turn back to her conversation when Marcus excused himself from the group and walked over to her. "Lena," he said softly, his voice low but warm. "You've outdone yourself tonight. she smiled, trying to hide the nerves that suddenly crept up on her. Thank you, she replied. It's been a team effort. No, he said, shaking his head. You've been the driving force behind everything. You've done more than I could have ever hoped for. His words were sincere, and it made her heart swell with pride. But there was something more in the way he was looking at her now, something that made her breath catch in her throat. Without thinking, she stepped a little closer to him. Marcus, she began, her voice hesitant. Before she could finish, Marcus reached out, gently touching her arm. His touch sent a jolt through her, and she looked up at him, her pulse quickening. Lena, he said quietly, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. Her heart skipped a beat, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to disappear. She looked into his eyes, and she knew, whatever happened next, things were about to change. For the first time, the professional barrier between them seemed to fade. She took a deep breath, waiting for him to speak, her heart pounding in her chest. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus took a deep breath, the weight of his words hanging in the air. He looked at Lena, his gaze steady, but there was a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. Lena, he began, his voice softer than usual, I've been thinking about this for a long time. About you, about us. The truth is, I didn't just hire you because you're good at what you do. I hired you because I saw something in you, something more than just your skills. I saw a person who has the kind of heart and drive that's rare in this world. And, somewhere along the way, I realized I don't want to just work with you. I want more. Lena's breath caught in her throat. His words, so raw, so genuine, caught her off guard. Her heart pounded in her chest as she tried to process what he was saying. She had always kept her emotions in check, focused on her work and the mission of the foundation. But now, with the weight of Marcus's confession, everything seemed to shift. Marcus, she started, but words seemed to fail her. She didn't know what to say. She had never allowed herself to entertain the idea of something more between them. They were from two different worlds, and the professional boundaries had always kept her from even imagining it. But now, everything felt different. He took a step closer to her, his expression softening. I know this might be unexpected, but I've never been more sure of anything in my life, he said. Lena, I care about you. More than just as a colleague or a partner in this foundation. I care about you as a person, and I think you feel the same way. Lena's heart skipped a beat as she looked up at him. She had known Marcus for a long time, and the connection between them had always been undeniable, but she had never let herself fully acknowledge it. The line between professional and personal had always been so clear, but now it felt blurred, almost irrelevant. For a moment, the world around them seemed to disappear. The noise of the gala, the guests, the music, it all faded into the background as Lena looked into Marcus's eyes. I don't know what to say, she admitted, her voice quiet but honest. I've never been good at this. I've always been focused on what's next, on the work, on getting through each day. But, she took a deep breath. But maybe I've been running from something. Maybe it's time to stop running. Marcus's smile was warm, understanding. You don't have to have all the answers right now, Lena. All I'm asking is for you to take a chance. To see where this could go. Lena looked around the room, her mind racing. She had come so far, from that uncertain woman who had scrubbed floors to a leader in the foundation. She had built a life she was proud of, and yet, something was missing. She realized that maybe it wasn't just about the work. Maybe it was about having someone to share it with. Okay, she said finally, her voice steady but full of emotion. I'll take a chance. I don't know where this will lead, but I'm willing to see where it goes. Marcus's eyes lit up with a mixture of relief and joy. Thank you, he said softly. You don't know how much this means to me. The room seemed to come alive again as the music swelled, the noise of the guests and the clinking of glasses returning to their normal rhythm. But for Lena and Marcus, everything felt different now. The foundation they had built together, the work they had done, it was all still there, still important. But now, there was something more, something they had found in each other. And for the first time in a long time, Lena felt like she wasn't just surviving. She was living. And with Marcus by her side, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Discover the world of unexpected transformations in this captivating millionaire story. In a journey that starts with a cleaning lady, this story explores the themes of hard work, self-worth, and ambition. As she rises through the ranks of a prestigious foundation, she begins to question what truly matters in life. Through chance encounters, challenges, and personal growth, this story showcases how even the most humble beginnings can lead to extraordinary opportunities. With a millionaire offering her a chance at a new life, this tale of redemption and love proves that no matter your past, a bright future is always within reach. This millionaire story takes a deeper look at the lives of those who dare to take a chance on something more. It is not just about wealth, but about finding purpose, love, and belonging in unexpected places. As the main character discovers, sometimes the greatest success comes from embracing change and choosing to follow the heart. Join this inspiring millionaire story that highlights the power of second chances, where the key to success lies in daring to dream bigger and trusting in oneself. From unlikely beginnings to the pinnacle of achievement, this millionaire story reminds us all that we are capable of far more than we imagine.